Fear is a powerful anchor. It locks us in place. It tells us what is safe and what is impossible. But what happens when the impossible calls your name? In the ancient world, the sea wasn't just water. It was the abyss, the abyssos. To the Hebrews, a dark, raging sea at night was the literal symbol of chaos, destruction, and death. The book of Genesis begins with the Spirit of God hovering over the face of the deep, the primordial ocean of nothingness. And on this specific night, 12 men were trapped inside that very symbol. This is not a bedtime story. This is a historical account of a terrifying night on the Sea of Galilee that pushed human faith past the breaking point. A night where one man did the unthinkable. He stepped out of the only thing keeping him alive. Before we enter the storm, let us understand the geography. The Sea of Galilee, known in Hebrew as Kinneret, meaning harp, for its harp-like shape, sits nearly 700 feet below sea level, nestled between the hills of the Galilee region. This unique geography creates a natural wind tunnel. Cold air from the surrounding highlands rushes down and collides with the warm air rising from the lake's surface. The result is sudden, violent storms that can transform calm waters into a raging tempest in minutes, without warning. The Romans called it a lake, but to the local fishermen, it was an ocean of unpredictability. And on this particular night, it became a death trap. The Gospel of Matthew records that it was the fourth watch of the night. That means it was between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m., the darkest, coldest hours before the dawn. They had been rowing for hours since the previous evening, fighting a relentless headwind that pushed them backward with every stroke. They weren't just tired, they were physically spent. These were not amateurs. Most of these men were professional Galilean fishermen who had spent their entire lives on this lake. Peter, Andrew, James, and John had grown up on these waters. They knew its moods, its currents, its dangers. They could read the sky and predict a storm days in advance. And yet, on this night, the Sea of Galilee had become something they had never faced before, a monster that seemed determined to swallow them whole. The boat itself was a standard first-century fishing vessel, roughly 26 feet long and 7 feet wide, made of cedar and oak planks sealed with pitch. In 1986, archaeologists made a remarkable discovery. An actual first-century boat was found preserved in the mud near the ancient town of Magdala, on the shores of the Sea of Galilee. Carbon dating confirmed it was from the time of Jesus. This vessel, now known as the Jesus boat, revealed that these craft were designed for calm waters and shallow nets, not for surviving a supernatural tempest in the dead of night. Picture the scene. 12 men crammed into this fragile wooden shell, bailing water with their bare hands, ropes snapping, the mast groaning under the force of the wind. Every wave that broke over the bow brought them closer to capsizing. They had been sent ahead by Jesus, who had stayed behind on shore to pray. They were alone, or so they thought. And then the impossible happened. Through the spray of the salt water and the thick mist, they saw a shape. A human figure defying the laws of gravity, walking calmly upon the crests of the raging waves, as if the water were solid marble beneath his feet. Panic struck them. In the ancient Near East, maritime superstition was deeply embedded in the culture. Sailors believed that the spirits of the drowned walked the waters at night, appearing as phantoms to lure the living to their death. They didn't think it was a miracle. They thought it was a ghost, a harbinger of their impending destruction. Grown men, experienced sailors who had faced storms their entire lives, were screaming like children into the void of the night. But through the howling wind, a voice cuts through the chaos. It isn't a scream. It's a command of absolute peace, a voice that carries the weight of eternity. Take courage. It is I. Don't be afraid. 3 words in the original Greek, ego eimi, I am. This was no casual identification. It was the same divine declaration God used when he spoke to Moses from the burning bush in the book of Exodus. I am who I am. Jesus was claiming to be the God who commands the sea, the wind, and the very fabric of reality. The God who walked upon the waters of chaos at the beginning of creation was now walking upon the waters of Galilee. While the others cowered, frozen between relief and terror, one man reacted differently: Simon Peter, a rough, impulsive fisherman from the village of Bethsaida, a man known for acting before thinking, for speaking before listening. He didn't just want to be safe, he wanted to be where his master was. He calls out from the rocking boat, "Lord, if it's you, tell me to come to you on the water." Think about the audacity of that request. Peter wasn't asking for the storm to stop. He wasn't asking to be rescued or teleported to safety. He was asking permission to do the impossible, to step onto the very element that was trying to kill him, to walk into death, trusting that the voice calling him was stronger than the abyss beneath him. Jesus replied with one single, terrifying word: come. Not wait, not let me calm the storm first, not are you sure, just come. Imagine the sensory overload. The boat is rocking violently beneath Peter's feet. The water is near freezing. The Sea of Galilee in the early hours sits at a bone-chilling temperature. Every survival instinct hardwired into Peter's fisherman brain is screaming at him to stay inside the boat. His fellow disciples are grabbing at his arms, pulling at his cloak, begging him not to be a fool. But Peter stands up. He grips the gunwale with white knuckles. He swings one leg over the side, and he places his bare, calloused foot, a foot that had walked the docks of Capernaum 10,000 times, onto the liquid surface of the abyss. And it held. For a few brilliant, gravity-defying moments, history paused. A mortal man, a simple fisherman with no education, no title, no supernatural power of his own, was walking on water. Not on ice, not on a sandbar, on the surface of a raging midnight sea. He wasn't looking at the depth beneath him, nor at the storm around him. He was looking at the source of the invitation. Step after step, the water held his weight like marble. The laws of physics bent to the authority of a single spoken word. Peter was doing what no human being had ever done before, or has done since. Every step was a declaration. The impossible is possible when you keep your eyes on the one who commands the elements. But then reality caught up with his faith. A massive wave crashed nearby, spraying freezing water across his face like a slap of ice. The wind howled louder, as if the storm itself was angry at being defied. Matthew writes that when Peter saw the wind, he was afraid. He looked away from Jesus. He focused on the environment, the danger, the darkness, the sheer impossibility of what he was doing. And the moment his focus shifted from the Savior to the storm, he began to sink. Not slowly, the text suggests it was sudden and violent. The water that had been solid beneath his feet became liquid again in an instant, like the ground opening up. His ankles disappeared, then his knees, then his waist. The abyss was reclaiming him, pulling him down into the cold, black nothing, submerging into the dark water, suffocating in the freezing cold. Peter screams the shortest, most honest prayer in the history of human faith. Lord, save me. 3 words, no theology, no eloquence, no religious formula, just raw, desperate honesty from a drowning man who had bet everything on a voice in the storm. And immediately, the Greek word is eutheos, meaning instantly, without delay. Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. Not a moment of hesitation. Not a lecture while Peter gurgled under the waves. Not a test to see how long he could hold his breath. Immediate rescue. The hand that had formed the oceans at the dawn of creation now pulled a sinking fisherman out of one. As they climbed back into the boat together, something extraordinary happened. The wind completely died down. Not gradually, instantly. The chaos vanished as if someone had turned off a switch. The sea that had been a roaring monster moments ago lay flat and still, like a sheet of glass. The first rays of the morning sun began to break through the dissipating clouds, painting the water in shades of gold and amber. The disciples fell to their knees, not from exhaustion this time, from worship. They said, "Truly, you are the Son of God." In the span of a single night, they had witnessed the impossible, and doubt had been permanently replaced by certainty. Jesus looked at Peter, soaking wet, shivering, exhausted, and asked a profound question. "You of little faith, why did you doubt?" Notice carefully, he didn't say, "You have no faith." Peter had faith. He had enough faith to step out of the boat when 11 other men stayed seated, clutching the sides in terror. His problem wasn't the absence of faith, it was the interruption of focus. There is a difference between failing in faith and never stepping out at all. Peter sank, but he sank while attempting the extraordinary. The other 11, they stayed dry, they stayed safe, but they also stayed ordinary. This 2,000-year-old historical event is an exact mirror of the human condition. We all have our boats, our comfort zones, our financial security, our carefully constructed routines, our predictable lives, and we all face our storms. Unexpected diagnoses, job losses, crippling anxiety, broken relationships, the death of a dream, and overwhelming, paralyzing fear. And at some point, every one of us hears the invitation to step out, to trust something bigger than our circumstances, to risk the safety of the boat for the adventure of the water. The question is never whether the storm will come, it always comes. The question is, where are you looking when it does? Peter's story teaches us that your environment doesn't determine whether you sink or swim, your focus does. If you stare at the size of your waves, you will drown in anxiety. But if you fix your eyes on the one who commands the storm, you can walk through situations that should destroy you. And here is the part that everyone forgets. Even when Peter sank, the hand was already reaching for him. Before he finished his 3-word prayer, the rescue was in motion. That is the nature of grace. It doesn't wait for you to get it right. It reaches for you in the middle of your failure. Peter failed that night. He sank beneath the waves. But he is still the only human being in recorded history who ever walked on water. The 11 men who stayed in the boat, history doesn't remember their decision that night. But Peter's 3 steps on the water have echoed through 20 centuries. Sometimes the greatest act of faith isn't succeeding, it's being willing to get out of the boat. Take courage. It is I. Do not be afraid. If this story encouraged you today, hit the like button, subscribe to Divine Connection for more deep dives